South Africa stands at a pivotal moment in its history. The Rainbow Nation, once a beacon of hope and reconciliation, is now grappling with a multitude of challenges that threaten to unravel the progress made since the end of apartheid. A fragile coalition government riven by internal divisions struggles to maintain a united front. Controversial legislation such as the Expropriation Act has ignited fierce debate, polarizing public opinion and raising concerns about property rights and economic stability. Meanwhile, a corruption scandal within the Defense Department has shaken public trust in the government's commitment to transparency and accountability. The stakes are high. South Africa's future hangs in the balance, with the potential for both transformative change and catastrophic decline. The choices made by the country's leaders in the coming months and years will determine whether South Africa can overcome these daunting obstacles and fulfill its promise as a truly democratic and prosperous nation. The world is watching, hoping that the spirit of Ubuntu, the profound African philosophy of interconnectedness and shared humanity, will guide South Africa towards a brighter future. To understand the complexities of South Africa's current political landscape, one must delve into the long shadow cast by its history of apartheid. For decades, the brutal system of racial segregation and oppression left deep scars on the nation's psyche, creating vast economic and social inequalities that persist to this day. The African National Congress, ANC, once a liberation movement at the forefront of the struggle against apartheid, inherited a society fractured along racial and economic lines. The end of apartheid in 1994 ushered in an era of hope and reconciliation. Nelson Mandela, the iconic leader of the ANC, emerged from prison to lead the country towards a more just and equitable future. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established to address the atrocities of the past, offered a model for healing and forgiveness. However, the legacy of apartheid proved difficult to overcome. Poverty, inequality, and unemployment remained endemic, particularly among the black majority population. The ANC government, while making strides in expanding access to education, healthcare, and housing, faced growing criticism for its failure to adequately address these systemic issues. The Expropriation Act is a necessary measure to address the historical injustices that have left black South Africans dispossessed of their land. This act will empower the government to acquire land for public good, such as housing, infrastructure, and agricultural development, with fair or even zero compensation in specific cases. Against this backdrop of historical injustice and persistent inequality, the ANC government has pursued a policy of land reform, seeking to redress the imbalances of the past by redistributing land to black South Africans. The Expropriation Act, signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa, has become a lightning rod for controversy, igniting a fierce debate about property rights, economic justice, and the role of the state in addressing historical wrongs.
We view the Expropriation Act as an assault on property rights and a threat to economic stability. This act will deter investment, undermine agricultural productivity, and lead to widespread corruption and mismanagement.
Proponents of the act, primarily the ANC and its allies, argue that it is a necessary measure to address the legacy of apartheid, which systematically dispossessed black South Africans of their land. They contend that the act will empower the government to acquire land for public good, such as housing, infrastructure, and agricultural development, with fair or even zero compensation in specific cases.
The Expropriation Act is about justice and restoring dignity to those who were wronged by apartheid. It is about creating opportunities for all South Africans and ensuring that the land is used for the benefit of the majority, not just a privileged few.
Opponents of the act, including the Patriotic Alliance, the main opposition party, and various business groups, view it as an assault on property rights and a threat to economic stability. They argue that the act will deter investment, undermine agricultural productivity, and lead to widespread corruption and mismanagement. Section 4. Coalition Chaos, a House Divided. The Expropriation Act has further exacerbated the tensions within South Africa's fragile coalition government.
The ANC, which has governed the country since the end of apartheid, lost its parliamentary majority for the first time in the 2024 elections. This electoral setback forced the ANC into an uneasy coalition with smaller parties, including the DA, its historical rival. The coalition has been plagued by mistrust and infighting from the outset.
The DA and other opposition parties have accused the ANC of backtracking on its promises of reform and of sidelining its coalition partners in key decision-making processes.
The DA has threatened to withdraw its support from the coalition on several occasions, citing broken promises and a lack of consultation.
Smaller parties, such as the Patriotic Alliance, have echoed these concerns, accusing the ANC of acting unilaterally and of prioritizing its own interests over the national good.
These internal divisions have paralyzed the government, making it difficult to address pressing issues such as unemployment, poverty, and crime. The coalition's instability has eroded public trust in the government's ability to provide effective leadership and to deliver on its promises of a better life for all South Africans. Section 5. The Defense Department scandal eroding trust and security. Adding to the turmoil is a major corruption scandal that has engulfed the Defense Department.
Allegations of irregular procurement processes, misappropriation of funds, and cronyism have rocked the department, raising serious concerns about the government's commitment to transparency and accountability. Millions of rands, meant for national security and the well-being of South Africa's soldiers, have reportedly been siphoned off through dubious contracts and inflated invoices.
Defense Minister Thandi Modise has come under intense scrutiny, with calls for her resignation mounting from both within the ruling party and the opposition. Modise has denied any wrongdoing, but the scandal has further eroded public trust in the government and its ability to safeguard the country's interests. The Defense Department scandal has also raised questions about the effectiveness of South Africa's oversight institutions and their ability to hold those in power accountable. A way to heal its wounds, address its challenges, and emerge stronger and more united? The answer to this question lies in the hands of all South Africans. Section 7. A time for courage and renewal. South Africa needs courageous leadership, a recommitment to the values of its constitution, and a renewed spirit of dialogue and reconciliation. The country's leaders must prioritize the needs of its people over partisan interests and work together to find solutions to the complex challenges facing the nation. Civil society, business, and ordinary citizens must raise their voices, demanding accountability, transparency, and a commitment to good governance. This is a time for South Africa to draw upon its rich history of struggle and resilience, to tap into the spirit of Ubuntu, and to forge a new path forward, one that honors the sacrifices of the past and secures a brighter future for all its people. The world is watching, hoping that South Africa will once again rise to the occasion and show the world what is possible when a nation embraces its diversity, confronts its challenges, and chooses hope over despair.